Okay, we are back live on a Wednesday night for another exciting episode of the Cosmic Human Design Podcast. We have a guest with us tonight. We'll get to him in a second. And we already got the chat boards going. So we are live. We have live chat boards. So don't hesitate to write in and ask us questions or comments, anything like that. Of course, we got our main team here. We got the manifesting coach, JARIN KENYON. And he likes to travel the world and awaken billions of people is his plan here. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, we've got the Yale graduate Richard Mason with us. He has done us the privilege of unlocking this new cosmic human design system. So fantastic. Thank you, Richard, for that. And we have been running this show for 17 episodes now. So we are on number 17. So we have Isaac with us tonight. Richard, you know Isaac, and you brought him on the show. Give us a little nugget about Isaac. What's he doing here?
Well, Isaac, he's been very active in the Cosmic Human Design group, really sharing his thoughts and insights on the chart, and really his enthusiasm for this new Cosmic Human Design chart. Isaac, he also created a, Cosmic Gene Keys group, which I think is a great idea. And, I really want to start reaching out to more of the Gene Keys in particular people, because this applies to the Gene Keys just as much as it does to human design. So yeah, Isaac, we're happy to have you on the show tonight, man, and hopefully you can give us some of your insights and tell us a bit about why you've become so interested in this new chart as opposed to the old one, and really looking forward to it.
Yeah, welcome, Isaac.
Thanks.
Yes.
No, I was introduced to the Gene Keys about almost 4 years ago now, 3.5 years ago, and was introduced to a tropical human design chart at a ceremony down in San Diego. And that's the original chart resonated, but not that much. There was some of it that was just not for me, that never really made sense. And I didn't go back to it that much. But I did go through the Gene Keys profile for 3.5 years, resulting in kind of a natural death and rebirth. 2 months after which I saw 13 sign astrology and sidereal astrology, 13 sign human design here. And it was so obvious to me, beyond obvious, that, oh, this all makes sense. The shift from Scorpio to Virgo makes perfect sense. I mean, I couldn't see it a year before when the same person tried to introduce me to it. But at that point I saw it. And it was perfect timing for me to be able to start figuring out what true design is and what my real authority is, and why most of my behavior traits throughout my life were what they were, only relabeled by the world around me. I'm really kind of, and that's what I love about the Oracle is it's past healing. It's more of a deprogramming of the phrases that stick in the psyche, because that's the back doors, right? So it's been such a blessing in my life, because it's the clarity that you talked about too. The 30. It's been on my sphere to get clear of something, for a long time now, and it's finally getting clear why. For this time. So I'm definitely I'm going to be studying a lot of human design here over the next few years. And by the time my Chiron return comes, I'm hopefully going to be in a place to where I can offer the information to the right people and have it be effortless.
Yeah, Isaac, that's funny. I went from Scorpio to Virgo as well. So pretty interesting there.
Yeah, it was interesting. I read within weeks of seeing it that a Virgo's best friend is a solid Scorpio. And I was like, I'm my own best friend. Okay.
Sounds about right. All right.
I reflect back to the first Golden Path book, where he talks about the fire eye and the water eye and placing the fire below the water. And it seems to me that that's exactly what each one would represent. The false graphs would show us exactly what we thought we were, but aren't, to where it shatters in front of us. And then we get shown what we really are. And it can make sense then, because it wouldn't make sense to the former self.
Yeah, Jarin, you brought that up before.
Well said.
In the past, how we weren't ready, and now we're ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time. It's the right time too.
Absolutely.
Big component to it. Yep.
2022 is the time. So
if there's anything I can put my energy towards that helps other people, is this, and I'm fairly interested in it. So why not go all in?
absolutely. All right. So let's go all in. Let's get into our daily today, and then we'll get back to Isaac and his travels into this. All right. So let's take a look over here, Richard. I've brought up the daily here, and fire away, mister.
So today we've actually got the Cross of the Sleeping Phoenix, which, as most of you know who are into human design, it begins with this 55th gate, which we can see is in the sun today, the 55.1. And the 55 is just such a huge catalyst for transformation, okay? In the gene keys, it's the only gene key that same gift and city. The city is usually a word that is, kind of way beyond the gift in terms of proportions, what it means. But, the word is the same. It's freedom for the 55, the gift and the city. Because as Richard Rudd puts it, freedom is the only path there is. And this is just so essential to understand that, freedom, it's a gift and a city. So it's something that we cannot do without. There is no word that goes higher than freedom at the gift level. That would be even more, freedom than freedom. So, and especially if we look at the shadow of the 55, we can begin to understand why this is such a pivotal catalyst for transformation for us. Richard Rudd says the 55 is kind of what's going to initiate the great change that's coming. Whether it's coming in 2027 or whether it's already here or coming some other time. I believe it's kind of like already here. The great change is happening now, where we go from victimization at the shadow to freedom. So this is so key. Because if we look around the world today, we can see the shadow of victimization everywhere. And in fact, it is the one single shadow that most closely locks us into an inner prison and into, these conventional, perhaps mistaken ways of doing things. Victim, because in fact, in a way, we are all being victimized by one or more things, by our economic system, by our political leaders. But the thing is, the key realization is we don't have to allow the victimization to happen. We can say no to it. And once we say no to it, that initiates the transformation. We have the freedom to say no to being victimized, which, like it or not, is happening in the world. There is so much victimization happening, but all of that is perfectly preventable, if we say no, because we have the freedom to say no, and to realize that is a supreme freedom, the freedom to realize we can't really be victimized if we don't allow it. So yeah, this is just absolutely huge one, guys. This 55, it's the longest chapter in the Gene Keys book. The 55 is. And yeah, we can see here in the Earth, it's closely connected to the 59. Its programming partner is the 59, which is sometimes called the gate of sexuality. But perhaps more broadly, it is about our relationships and about, honesty more than anything. It's about our being honest with each other. We've got the gift of intimacy and the city of transparency for the 59. So this is all about how we relate to one another, whether it's with dishonesty at the shadow or with transparency, letting everything through, being transparent to one another. So we can see that victimization is closely connected to whether or not we're being honest with each other or not. So yeah, these two, this 55 and 59, they're definitely two of the more important gene keys and gates. And that's why it's called the cross of the sleeping phoenix, because this it's going to trigger this genetic mutation. I believe that's going to happen one way or the other. There is going to be this transformation in terms of our how we relate to each other, how we feel about each other, which will also express itself in our sexuality eventually as well. But the change starts from the inside. The 55, it's in the same codon ring as the 49, which is revolution. 49 is revolution. And in the Gene Keys book, Richard Rudd, he calls the 49 changing the world from the inside. So yeah, these are all absolutely key for us to contemplate here.
Yeah, Richard, and being honest with ourselves, right? Before we can even be honest with someone else outside of us, it's being honest and authentic and being who we actually are, which thankfully, now that we have the cosmic human design and cosmic gene keys, we can actually get a blueprint of who we really are, because this is what it's all about. And I have a lot of experience with these two due to the fact that my original design for about 8 years of looking at it was these two as my life's work and my evolution. I always look to them as kind of real sources of the awakening itself. Now, I happen to not have these in my chart anymore, but having studied them and practiced them with a lot of people, I think that it really sums up what it's all about now. We can learn about what's actually going on in the world and awaken to, okay, we're being victimized, we're being controlled by this, there's bad guys doing this, the bad system's doing this, all this kind of stuff. And that is an element of awakening, but really it's not the source. The real element of awakening is really realizing that you are the creator of your reality and you are responsible for the experiences you're having. And the 55 sums that up, and Gene Keys talk about, right? Richard Rudd talks about survival of the fittest, even though this is all about love and light growth, right? It's survival of the fittest. And the fittest are the ones that will realize that they create their reality. And every single experience you're having, you can choose something else. You can detach from the victimization. You can maneuver your way around to a different experience. You can become a different person. And that villain that's in front of you is ultimately your teacher to then ascend from it, to then awaken the higher consciousness from it, to then do the Esther Hicks thing of using the contrast to your advantage, learning what you want through what you don't want. Well, it's the ultimate teacher and the ultimate sage that you can turn inside for. But the other interesting thing is it's a feeling, right? The 55 is in the feelings. It's in your emotional center. It's not necessarily a thinking process. It's a feeling process. But then it goes hand in hand with the mate of being honest, as Richard mentioned so eloquently, being honest and open and authentic, being transparent, being an open book to this universe, to this cosmos that you want to relate to and that you want to flourish with. And were you going to say something, Isaac?
Oh, well, what you said kind of spiked me back to the Oracle calling the law of attraction. You're talking about Esther Hicks. It says that the law of attraction works on the principle of attracting complementary opposites. Rather than looking through a contrast to find the good part, realize that the whole thing is a good part. It's just a complementary opposite that you can bring in. That's what yin and yang really represent to me now. After working with the Oracle for a little while, is seeing how that correlates, and it really kind of, instead of opposing forces, it's a little bit different flavor. It's not so confrontational.
Yeah, and being a projector, I like to sum it up with a teaching cue, which is inner standing. I love that word, inner standing. instead of understanding, you're understanding. You're bringing that heart part of you, and you're really trying to understand yourself and understand that the outside world is really about what you're doing inside and your perspective and your perception on what life is and your confidence to how you can impact the world. What's your confidence in walking in the world? What's your voices saying inside of you? Are you good enough or are you not good enough, right? And what stories are you telling yourself? Are you living in the past all the time? So it all kind of intertwines together in this kind of musical, right? And what are you doing? What kind of rhythm are you playing inside of yourself? Are you walking through the world confident, or are you already defeated before you start? So that's a big one. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Richard, did you want to go down the page more?
Well, let's see here. Let's look at the incarnation cross. Let's read.
Yep,
let's read that there. Yeah. So people busy seeking access to spirit through love and bonding, who in this quest experience transformation. There's that word again: transformation, death, and rebirth. And really, you know, if you read the I Ching, it'll tell you that the transformation is how everything happens. You know, the I Ching, it's actually called the Book of Transformation, not the Book of Changes. It's the Book of Transformation. Because transformation implies that there's always this upward movement going on, rather than changes, which, you know, can go up or down, and also implies the fact that good times are inevitably followed by bad times. You know, that's what the word changes implies. But transformation is always going upward. You know, and we don't have the bad times. You know, we just have more and more good times. And that's the true nature of the cosmos, is continuous transformations. And you know, like Jarin and Isaac have been saying, you know, there's, you know, these, you know, supposedly negative forces in the world here are kind of here to help us initiate more transformations, to, you know, become more and more of our true selves. You know, that's what, you know, that's what I highly recommend is that you look at everything in your life, absolutely everything, as there to help you fulfill your uniqueness. That's what everything in your life is actually there for. You know, it might look really bad, it might look terrible, it might look like it's really hurting you, but, you know, that's just because you're looking at it wrong. And then that is projecting itself into reality. You know, it's all about how you think about things. You know?
Yeah. One thing that's interesting about that whole piece, though, is that other people are doing the same thing. And when they start projecting something at you that you used to be, but you aren't anymore, but you love them and trust them, and they say things, and these are those poison arrows kind of that are unwittingly said, but they kind of keep you held back if you would join them in their projections. You know, I've had a bunch of friends who are trying to call me on my shit before I even complete a sentence because they think I know what I'm going to say already. And it's just getting old. It's just like, will you stop doing that? You know, like I know what you're trying to do, the leading lines of questioning and stuff. And it's just like, I don't need that right now. You don't seem to see like or hear what I'm saying. So we need some distance. But, you know, right along those lines, other people project things at you. And if you trust them and join them, like you could be getting led around by their projections. It's really easy to do.
That's 100%. That's 100%. And I just want to name one person in my life that may do that is my wife. We won't tell her that though. But yeah, it is very difficult. When you have parents, siblings, people that are friends of yours from the past, they definitely don't want you to change. It is something that is going to reflect on them, and it actually makes them have to reflect on themselves. They don't want to do that. So they're going to try to keep you to where you are. So as you grow and change, go ahead, Isaac. What were you saying?
It's almost codependent.
Yes, exactly. And so what happens is you are changing and you're happy you're changing. And sometimes you even want to kind of boast about it or talk about it more, you know, because you're going through a transformation and you want to help others see what you're seeing. But at the same time, what happens is you start pushing them away, or you start they start pushing back on you. And so now you're in this weird zone of, like you said, they're steering you back to your old, you don't want to be doing that. Who do you think you are doing this kind of stuff? Yeah.
No, I realized at Burning Man this year that if I kept pushing at a bunch of people that I know when they were trying to project something that's not true anymore at me, I knew they couldn't see it. If I knew that, I kept pushing and kept resisting it, then I'd be the asshole. So why don't I just go do something else for a few years and see how everybody else turns out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is why a lot of sages and teachers, gurus around the world travel a lot or change situations a lot. You know, they're very discerning to where they may only have a few people that remain in their group or their core element if those people can metamorphosize with them, you know, in their own way, because people get attached, they get stuck, then they want to stay into the past, and then they project on you. And that, whether they even saying anything or not, that energy is conditioning you. So it's a challenge to be able to be your fresh self around those that you have a past with, which ultimately is some that you love the most. However, they're also your greatest teachers, you know, so it's a balance. Do you want the easy route, you know, so you would constantly change and move on? Or do you also want to meet the devil, quote unquote, even though it's not, head on, so that nothing inside of you can prevent you from being your unique self? And that's what the polarity of the external does. So I myself am constantly weaving back and forth between, all right, time to move on from something, or, hey, I want to meet this head on instead of running from it, and see if I can transform it from the inside of myself, and so that I can grow to be me no matter what my external is. Because remember, the external is just a reflective field. It's not a force unless you give your power away to it, albeit, like we said, with things you're used to or people you're used to, it's very easy to give your power away due to that conditioning, and actually even seeing your old self through them, right? Your old habits and programs start to come back more as soon as you get around certain places or certain people. And so that's why it's, can I be my higher self when I walk into what I'm used to or what my past was? Because if I'm not, I'm going to be on autopilot, and I'm going to become a victim to those old programs, or, you know, spells and poison arrows and everything that we mentioned here earlier.
Yeah. I just know that a lot of times people start pushing me in directions that, one, I know I don't want to go, and two, I've already been through, you know, and it's like it goes on long enough. You got to give it some time. I don't know, you know, I know there's some things that I'm not seeing too that I will in the future as well. So I'm not going to say that I'm immune from any of it, but if I understand the dynamics, then why not give things some room and some time? It's you know, because I don't like closing doors on people, and you know, there's no real reason to. It's just the nature of things right now. That's going to shift.
Yeah, for sure. And also, one thing that I want to bring up is from the book and movie Peaceful Warrior. One of my favorite lines is to always keep a sense of humor, especially about oneself. It's a very big strength. And so another thing I try to do is lighten the mood and just be happy. You know, someone wants to make fun of my top knot or something, hey, whatever. Hey, all right, well, we'll join in. I'll join in too. And I won't take it personally, because I know that usually when someone's attacking you, it's not personal. It's their own shit that they're carrying around. So you have to make sure that, you know, is something you can keep in your own self, and not get your ego to rise up and have to, like, you know, either combat it or get all like irritated by it and think about it the rest of the night. That's not a good energy to carry around. You want to be able to just move on quickly. If you can keep a sense of humor and say, hey, whatever, we're just joking around. Sure. So maybe something that we could use. All right, Richard, what do you think? Anything more in the daily today?
I think we covered it pretty good, okay. Greg. You know, I just want to mention as well that we're in the north node of the 42, which is going to be here for a while. So, you know, this is still this period of growth and increase that you can absolutely experience. right now. And I'm just looking at this right now, and I see the Mercury is actually in the 49, the revolution, which is actually what I was just talking about. And Mercury is, what you're talking about, and when you're literally what you're communicating about. So that's funny. And we've got Venus and Mars in the 38. So that's very interesting. So I think they were in the same gate last time too, weren't they?
They were, yeah.
So that's pretty funny. They're still they're in a different gate, but it's the same one. 38, they get this gate of struggle, of individual empowerment, of, working to overcome, obstacles that are in the way of your own uniqueness. That's what it's ultimately referring to, is struggling against that which would compromise your true self, or your ability to be yourself, so which is kind of what you guys were just talking about as well, with that that Mars energy empowering that. That's a very potent energy right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty good, I'd say.
All right, that'll wrap up our daily today. Very good stuff there. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of it's a 55.1 and a 59.1, so we got a week to go here in that energy. So that's what you guys got for a while here, and yeah, a lot of power there, a lot of things to really concentrate on.
So how does the energy strike you guys when it comes and changes and goes in and out of portals? When the gates shift on the
well, I noticed that each week kind of you notice it kind of has a different feel to it, a different theme to it, which is about the amount of time it takes the sun to go from one gate to another, is about a week. So that, to me, that's kind of how I feel it. I see each week as being somewhat different.
And it's going to impact people differently, so sometimes it may be more challenging or contrasting within your personal design. And sometimes it can actually make you feel right at home. It can actually expand and enhance what you innately want or want to be doing. So it's good to check the cycles. I normally just kind of tune into the cosmic design, see what's going on every couple of weeks and catch up to it. I like to experience things and then see what's going on. But I'll tell you what I notice is it's usually in sync. I usually notice the patterns that are present, even if I'm not aware of it, and then check the chart. And it's always on point. It's always pretty clear, but it's going to impact each person differently in a different flavor.
Right. What about when you say fall out of cosmic harmony? Is that because for me, when I fall out of it, it can be extremely intense feeling of falling out of harmony with the cosmos, where one of the best facilitators I know talked to me about it, and he's like, yeah, don't worry. He's all, now, we were talking about the shift that I felt, death and rebirth. He's like, well, if you're out of harmony, you're going to feel it more now. And it clicked, it made sense. I'm like, oh, I'm not just being moody. Okay, I got to pay more attention now.
Yeah, I think in general that is becoming more intense for everyone as we go through, especially these next few years. I think, if you're out of harmony, you're definitely going to know it.
Oh yeah.
Whereas before, the cosmos is going to give you some time, to kind of get back on track yourself, but it's like now it feels to me like you're definitely going to be aware of it much faster than perhaps it was always the case, because, these are important times, big important times that we're going through now.
Everything is faster and everything's more intense. And whether it's conditioning from someone else that is not you, that causes you to feel some way, or it's just your own experience in life, which you're not self in your design can help you have a compass towards. It's not like it's a bad thing. Sometimes when you're feeling the way you're feeling, it's telling you something. You are telling yourself something. Your body is telling yourself something. And then when you look at, so where am I at? Or what can I do within my design, within the quantum mechanics of my design to transform or to alter this process. So a lot of times it's, you know, it's a gift for you. It's a gift to be able to notice that sense of being off. And then of course you check your gene keys, and especially the ones that are the most important in your chart, and you'll usually be illustrated with exactly what's going on right there, because they're always going to, you know, 70% of the time those 4 are going to be present, and you can say, hey, what can I do to rise above or upgrade what it is that's going on?
Yeah, definitely. In both charts too. Like at 3.5 years, I did the tropical gene keys, and then now the last 8 or 10 months, I've been doing the sidereal, and it's totally relatable to everything happening in every process. And I'm about to go into my attraction sphere. 22 is in my attraction, which I was so delighted to see when I first saw my new chart. Was seeing that 22 in there because it was one of those signs that I really resonated with, that I wished was in my original chart, and then there it is in my new one. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
All right. Well, since Isaac is our guest here, let's take a look at your chart, Isaac, and what makes you tick here. All right. How you feeling about this design?
It really fits like a glove. I mean, when I first saw it, I didn't have the birth time right, so it was a little bit different. It was making sense, but it was a 5-2 or something. But the 6-2 that I am, when that clicked into place, and then I saw this chart, it was like, okay. And I started studying and doing the new new gene keys chart, and it just totally fit exactly everything. It made sense as to why I had behaved the way I had, or hadn't behaved the way I wanted to, which turned up in the chart. It just all clicked into place. The 6-2 and a 3-5 are a perfect match in human design. Apparently, that's another one of those interesting little bits. But the it's shown me so much. Like, people said I was distant. No, I just needed alone time. Part of my design. But there's a whole bunch of those, that people told me was a problem, and I kept trying to fix and get away from, when they were actually just exactly what I needed to do. So it definitely,
that's something I love so much about this cosmic chart, and for myself as well, because it's very empowering. It's very validating, because it points out how all these things that perhaps you thought were a problem, oh well, wow, they're actually so deeply a part of your design. And that makes you feel good about yourself. It makes you feel like those things aren't a problem, which they're not. And that's something that I've heard from a lot of different people. So that's great, Isaac.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that ability to understand yourself and then go to yourself, okay, I wasn't sinning. This was who I am. I'm not being a bad person because I want alone time or I want whatever. And then also, when you learn about your spouse or your kids or a friend, you start to understand them a lot better too. And you can be patient with certain areas, and you can understand what they might like for a gift or whatever, So there's so many things you can do with this, understanding it. And it becomes a big strength in your life when you know yourself like this.
Yeah, didn't I hear talk of doing a dating site for human design?
Yes, we did mention that.
That would be a really cool idea on either side, cosmic or tropical. I mean, it would be endless fun looking at all the corresponding gates and complementary stuff. I mean, that's the first thing when I'm interested in somebody. That's the first thing I do is I look up their cosmic chart.
Well, if 6-2s resonate with 3-5s, I guess it means I resonate with myself very well. So I guess I still get along with myself because I was originally a 3-5. But we love 6-2s there, Isaac. We love 6-2 manifesting generators. I wouldn't know why, but I think they're awesome people.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and I love the if we can put a dating app together ever, even if it's something that's very light and fun, it just uses the power pyramid part or whatever. It's just a lot of fun for people to look through and just to see who they resonate with and what they might be like with that type of person or whatever. So that's pretty cool stuff. Really, really neat. All right.
Sounds like $1 billion deal right there.
Absolutely. All right. Richard, you want to move into your article you had prepared here?
Sure.
All right. So we can keep on schedule here. All right. Let me just bring it up. And I'll bring it on over. All right, Richard.
Yeah, guys. So what I've got for us here are, some select words and concepts from the book I keep bringing to you guys, the I Ching Oracle, the Cosmic Way. Here we are again. And, I've been using some of these words, on the show, and I feel that it's good to revisit them here. And there's also some very, very interesting words here that are, part of the goal of this is to show you the effect that the definitions of words has on our own consciousness, and how a lot of like commonly used words, or some commonly used words, might actually have a different purpose than what you think they do. For example, the word duty is in here, which we'll get to that in a moment. But it's somewhat different than you perhaps think it is. And this is, I feel like these few words here outline, especially the first few outline this cosmology that I feel like is very, very empowering to know and to understand. If you really can get into it here. So let's start with the first one real quick. Cosmos. Cosmos. What is cosmos? Cosmos is the appropriate word to describe the cosmic whole. The cosmic whole consists of the invisible cosmic consciousness in the visible world of nature. So you've got the yin and yang right there in all of creation, the invisible consciousness in the visible form or nature. The cosmic whole is a system of harmonics, which is described in all of its aspects in hexagrams 3 through 64 of this volume. All consciousness, which exists both in the forms of feeling and thought, finds expression in the cosmic whole, both that which is harmonious and that which is discordant. However, the core consciousness of the cosmos is only harmonious. Discordant consciousness, which is generated only through a false use of language, has no place in the core consciousness. It creates its own sphere, a place of separation and isolation from the cosmic whole, which we have called the demonic sphere of consciousness. The latter competes with the cosmos and seeks to replace it with the human-centered, purely mental order, which is hierarchically structured, with humans occupying the top position. From its place of isolation from the cosmic whole, the negative energy of the collective ego continues to operate in a destructive way on humans and on nature. The visible side of the demonic sphere of consciousness is the parallel reality of the collective ego. Living in the parallel reality deprives people of cosmic protection and of the help it gives to every aspect that is in harmony with it. Without cosmic protection, people create fates, often referred to in the I Ching as misfortune. One of the purposes of fate is to help a person reunify with the cosmic whole. The cosmos is not identical with what humans have called the universe. The idea of a universe has been created by the human-centered view. As such, it constitutes the demonic sphere of consciousness in the parallel reality of the collective ego. So, we've got the cosmos here, which is all of creation, but then we have this disharmonious aspect of it, this demonic sphere of consciousness, which happens to be the sphere of consciousness most of us live in. I mean, we can't help but live in it because that's what we've been born into. And it's this kind of parallel reality that has been created through, like the I Ching says, the false use of language. I think it's just pivotal to understand, especially this next term, this collective ego, and ego. I think it's absolutely essential to understand these concepts in order to actually get in touch with your true self, which we can see the true self there is at the bottom. So let me go through these next three here, because these are absolutely key. If you research anything or know about anything, know about these three words here, The collective ego. The collective ego is the parent of the individual ego. The collective ego is the name given to the totality of mistaken ideas and beliefs about the nature of the cosmos, about human nature, and about the human place in the whole. The visible side of the collective ego is found in the social structures and institutions that have been erected to support the human-centered view of the universe. Since it is a false construct that has no cosmic reality, the collective ego depends totally on the life energy it steals from people's true natures. To do so, it creates the individual ego, a false mental program that is introjected phrase by phrase and image by image into the psyche of the young child, where it begins to live a life of its own. Wow. Wow. So we've got this collective ego thing, which is the totality of mistaken ideas and beliefs about the cosmos, which when after they've been spoken, after these words are in existence, they kind of create this parallel reality. And these beliefs, they kind of take on a life of their own, which we don't realize. And so there's this collective ego out there that is negatively influencing us by creating the individual ego in us, which is a false self. And as we can see here, the individual ego, what is it? What is this false self that we kind of are introjected with as children, before we can realize really what's going on? So the individual ego is that composite of self-images, that's a key word, and their supporting rationales that a person develops in the course of his childhood conditioning. The child is told that he needs to develop an ego or a self-image, which is then referred to as his self or his character, in order to get along in the world. The ego is thus based on inferiority, instilled in the child by asserting that he is insufficient in and of himself to cope with life, and that there is no help for him other than what he can get from the institutions of the collective ego. In order to be accepted by these institutions, he is told that he needs to, quote, develop his character or accept the values and rules of the collective ego. So the ego is kind of this, set of self-images we have about ourselves. Now, the thing about a self-image is that because it's an image, it's not really real. And, it's an image you have of yourself, which is a fantasy, basically, which you have developed in order to get along, quote, get along in the world. So the ego is fundamentally based on inferiority, this notion of inferiority or lack, that you are capable in and of yourself of coping, of getting along in the world. So that's what this false self is based upon, right? Now, what is the true self? So if we look at these side by side, and we can get a better idea of what is the difference between the true self and the false self or ego. So the true self is the name given by the sage to that which constitutes a person's true nature. In its natural state, the true self is in harmony with the cosmos. It is completely endowed by the cosmos with everything the person needs to live his life in a body in peace, harmony, and joy. A person's true nature is animal nature, meaning the body is intrinsic to your true nature. It is totally good and undivided. When, through the activity of the collective ego, a person's nature is divided into parts, with one being defined as superior and the other as inferior, or as, quote, the source of evil, spells are put on his animal nature that cause it to act in perverted ways. Thus, the true self becomes the stranger within. Many hexagrams show the evil consequences of these spells and point to the necessity of freeing the true self from them. So, for example, when we look down upon our bodily nature, or when we aspire to a purely spiritual existence, we separate from our true selves, because our true self is our entire undivided nature. which is not separated into parts. It's our true original nature, which is completely in harmony with the cosmos, not based on any self-images or ideas of inferiority or lack or anything like that. So that's the true self and the ego. And this is so important to understand because, you know, Ra talked about this a lot, how we're living in this not self world. You know, a lot of his lectures are based on talking about the not self and how the not self behaves, you know. So all of this, all of society, all of that is based on the ego, the not self. And I think part of what cosmic human design does is it shows you how to get back to your true self, to your true nature, you know, which is there, which is the reality that is there. You know, apart from, as opposed to taking on these false self-images that you think you need in order to get along in the world. You know, like, for example, thinking that you have to be an engineer. You know, anytime you attach a self-image to yourself, then you're going off the path of the true self. You know, what do you guys think about that?
Hello. I love the self images. That a friend of mine, one of his favorite sayings, when somebody asks him what he does, he says, "I do whatever the hell I want." Why? What do you do? Not going to actually define himself for their ego to pin him into a box for and project on. You know, that's one smart thing that I've seen a few friends do, is to answer with humor, but not really pin yourself into any identity.
Yeah, we tend to look at our career as our identity in a lot of ways, right? When someone asks us what we do, well, the first thing we bring up is our career. And I've struggled with true self, higher self, ego, my entire life, you know, probably since my 20s when I started to really awaken. But yeah, it's quite the journey of balance between living in the 3D world and then trying to live that higher self. And it's really interesting to hear it in the terms that it's used as you're reading, Richard, because it definitely brings up a lot of past things I've read and things I've struggled with and things I've seen happen, right? And it's instilled in you as a young child immediately, you know, to build character, to be something, to be somebody, to you know, list off the things that you are, right? And that's really not living in the moment at all, right? That's living in the past and building some kind of false identity that carries with you. I mean, you could be 35 years old and still carry with you a 5-year-old thing you instilled in you. So
yeah, absolutely.
You know, how's that going to be successful for you when you're going with a 5-year-old's mentality at 35?
You know, when I read this, or, you know, listen to Richard reading this to us, personally, I just get such a sensation of excitement about reading this, you know, just feeling the energy. I mean, you know, for me, looking at it as how I'm built as a 6-2 responder, you know, manifesting generator, I'm looking on this from the roof saying, here is the real information. You know, you can look at, you know, the changes that are going on in the world and what's that's going to look like in the human story of it. You can look at it as, oh, aliens and humans, and you can look at it as, you know, I'm going up in dimensions and all this other stuff. But this is really where it's at. Like, to me, when I see this, it's some of the most important information one could read, and it's done in a way that can actually be understood and broken down. Well, I shouldn't say it'd be understood by everyone, because a lot of people have initial blocks to this because of the programming itself. But if you can strip the blocks of the programming itself and you actually get a glimpse into what's going on, you can make this real in your life. You know, you can actually take a look at what energy are you giving away from self to someone else, or to some identity or complex or thing that you're still holding on to in the past, or that the collective wants you to be. You know, you can look at the mechanics of it within your design correlated to it, of what can I do to start to, you know, adjust myself through and out of this, inevitably transmute and transform it. And it's really why we're here right now. You know, This is why we're here. And this is why we came here, was to remember this information and find our way back home, which is right here. But it's being real about it. The 60 is about being real with your limits, not just escaping in the spiritual fantasy and pretending like you know it all, which a lot of people, I've done it before as well too, but I get a lot of, I see a lot of people that are in the awakening process, or even they have a lot of success and they think, they're like a god already, they've just got it all. And it's just like, okay, well, can you actually do this yet? Oh, wait, no, I'm blocked here. Oh, so I do have steps to go. So you have to be real about your human nature. And you also have to be real about your infinite godhood, which is what the human is, and be real about, nurturing yourself and accepting time as an element of what humans go through, as well as the magic potion with your positive spells that you can change your world in an instant. And to me, this is a great, besides your human design, specifically for you, your golden path, this is great information to be able to have a map to follow, to see where you've fallen prey to the illusion. And how do I get myself back out of the illusion and honestly into the reality again, which is a great game we're all playing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we can also compound our issues by trying to be too godlike. I remember a friend of mine used to say that he hated going to the bathroom and eating. He didn't want to do that anymore. He was done with it. It's too 3D world. And I'm like, dude, you can't just abandon all of your human thing. It doesn't work that way. You're going to have to graduate a little bit. You're going to have to go through school. You're in first grade right now. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, Greg, let's scroll down a little bit here. There's some more words I really wanted you guys to see. The Walking Dead person, we'll skip that one. Hopefully, there's not a lot of them watching right now. The Walking Dead. I'm sure there's lots of them out there.
Yeah,
they're not watching.
Okay, let's look at chance. Yeah, let's look at chance up there.
Yep.
Chance in the sense of random chance has no place in the cosmic order. Wow. It is a term that describes what happens when a person has lost his cosmic protection. Wow. It thus also describes the parallel reality created by the collective ego. Chance as a vagary implies what the I Ching calls fate. Fate itself, however, is not delimited as a vagary that strikes randomly. It is an automatic reaction of the cosmos to a continuous violation of the cosmic harmonics. It is always specific to what is needed to open a person up to the possibility of correcting the mistaken ideas and beliefs that have created his fate. Chance, in the sense of good luck, also belongs to the parallel reality. The terms good fortune and success in the I Ching do not refer to good luck, but to cosmic gifts and blessings, and to the prospective success of an undertaking when the helpers have been included. So according to this, there is no chance except in the parallel reality. That's the only time when things happen, quote, by chance, is when you've completely separated from the cosmos and lost your cosmic protection. Then all kinds of negative, bad things can happen to you. Because you've totally separated from, the cosmos, or as it says, a fate. So a fate is, according to the I Ching, is what happens when we continuously violate the cosmic principles or harmonics, which also means continuing to make the same mistakes over and over again. We'll eventually have to go through what it calls a fate, which is designed to actually teach us, to wake us up from the false beliefs, from our false ways of thinking that actually caused us to go down that road in the first place. So that's very interesting.
That's definitely been a theme in my life of endings and beginnings for the past couple of years now. There's definitely been signs of certain chapters closing, and now they're actually ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like seeing that in words, Richard. Chance, and it's showing you that there is no it's not a chance. It's how you're living. And
Yeah.
if you can believe it enough, you can create anything to happen, any reality. So the chance is just what the world is built on, an ego, right? And it's telling you, oh, you go out and gamble, oh, you'll have a 1 in 10 odds or whatever the heck it is. And so like you're just, everything you think is chance or luck, right? But really, it's how you're living internally.
Yeah,
I can remember. I don't know, guess even 6-8 years ago, I would tell people from my own view, there's no luck. How can you say that there's luck? Luck is a victimhood. Luck is unconscious saying that the external is a force over you that sometimes is nice to you and sometimes isn't, or has no purpose whatsoever, is an absolute chaos and just happened to fall in a certain way. And it's not. Justice is the element, no matter what it is, whether good or bad, that you have earned where you're at based on what your energy has vibrated at. And, you create your own luck, you create your own fate through the false sense of words and language and everything else that we've said here and talk about. When your true destiny is when you get alignment with self, with who you really are, and the universe helps you and everything works out. And people that get into, you might even get in the phases of your life for like a day. Let's even exaggerate, not even just an hour or two, but say a day where everything is just working out. All the dominoes are happening. You're in sync with everything. You can see everything for what it actually is, and you feel like you're free. And I feel like this is where we're inevitably going. This is actually where we're going. Yet it's only going to happen to us and for us when we are who we actually are and allow it to be as it is and allow it to be what it actually is.
Allow heaven on earth, so to speak.
Yeah.
Richard, we have a good question here. Alicia says, which books do you refer to when talking about the gates? Gene Keys. I guess that's human design books, cosmic, I Ching book, some other book. Maybe I should ask, which is your favorite book to learn about the understanding the gates?
Yeah, that's a very great question, actually. So Alicia, it's like this. So there's no one book has the complete, definition of all the gates, in my opinion. What you really need to do is develop an intuitive understanding of what the gates mean. And I would actually start out with the Cosmic I Ching, actually, the I Ching Oracle, the Cosmic Way, because it has the broadest definition of the gates, and it's coming straight from the I Ching. So it's got the cosmic perspective of all of the gates. Now, that can't always be so easily applied to the human condition, which is, what Ra does in his Rave I Ching, which is the official text used by human design to define all the gates. I think that's still pretty good, although it does have a lot of negative wording in there, which if you haven't read the Cosmic I Ching can kind of bring you down a little bit, in my opinion, because some of those gate names are just kind of really negative. And so if you have those, and oh wow, I've got to be this, then you might kind of get down or depressed or something. So, also the Gene Keys book is very good as well. So, I like to use a synthesis of, those kind of 3 books, the Gene Keys, and then you can do the I believe it's called the Complete Guide to Human Design or something like that. Official Guide to Human Design is the book, name of that book. And then the I Ching Oracle, the Cosmic Way. So all 3 of those together, I think, gives you a very good picture of all the gates. And, I should mention that's something I'm doing myself is I'm going to, kind of rewrite all of the gate names and lines for cosmic human design eventually.
Tracker's Guide to Cosmic Human Design.
Yeah. Yeah.
Richard, has anybody ever attempted a movie yet with human design? Any attempts there? Have you ever seen anything?
A movie. Well, Ra made some movie, kind of like a movie on YouTube called his Encounter with the Voice, where he talks about what it was like to receive that knowledge. But no, like we should totally make.
There we go. Time to make a movie too. That's great. All right, perfect. Richard, do you want to do some of those definitions next episode? Do some more?
Yeah, sure, man.
Yeah, we'll probably save that for because that seems like another half of an episode with all those definitions. So great, very cool. Isaac, thanks for joining us. You want to say some final stuff here about how you're enjoying cosmic human design and how it's infecting you, and maybe some advice for people who are just getting into it?
Well, unsolicited advice. I don't know. I mean, I'm way too good at that, but I'm not that good at that. You know what I mean? But no, I think, it's just whatever resonates, like Richard Rudd talks about, if it resonates, go with it. In the Gene Keys books, the Golden Path books, it says if one of the other lines resonates or another chapter resonates, go with your instinct, because he obviously knew that there was plenty of room for error. So did Ra, as far as I can tell. He knew it was going to be an evolving information set. In the several lectures that I've been listening to recently, he's echoed that a few times, and it kind of confirms what I'm thinking is that the human design and cosmic human design is just the natural progression as more information comes to light. But it's definitely, all this information has made such a profound change in my life, taking in all the help and all the advice and all the things that everybody around me has done to help me over the last 4 years of transformation. This is the thing that tied it all together and really balanced it all out. Ultimately, through my own story, it's beautiful. I don't think I could be the father that I am to my kids now without this information, and of course without everybody else that helps me, some of whom I'm having to move away from right now. But it's great. I'm grateful for all of it, and this has been a huge part. So I'm grateful. Excellent.
Well, thank you, Isaac.
Thanks for being on. Yeah,
Jarin, you got want to finish this up here? Any final words from the episode? Most impactful part?
Greatest show ever created. It's the greatest show ever created. No, just kidding. No, I love it. I love the information that we looked at today. I know we could look into it more. I look forward to future episodes with checking it out. It's right there. It's so classic. It's so real. And then you can also watch it in the stories of your life and in the identities of the characters, the role players, in your life. And it's all about energy. It's all about the exchange of energy. And is it in harmony and balance, or is it in a parasitic type energy? And that's what it's given you a glimpse of, which ironically is within your own self if you give power to it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Very good. Well, that's going to conclude another great episode of the Cosmic Human Design podcast. Last episode was excellent too. So if you haven't seen that one, go back and check that one out. We are on youtube.com/Cosmic Human Design. And you also get your free chart at cosmichumandesign.com. And if you want to check us out, if you like this show, you might like the Rise show. Rise is on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Me and Jarin and my wife host that. This weekend, we're going to have a guy on who explores space, and he thinks he's found some things in there that are very interesting. So we're going to take a look at what he's got. And so that's 10 a.m. We are on Rumble now. So go to Linktree/Rise the Next Evolution. You'll find all our links and stuff like that. So very cool. All right, everybody. Thank you, chat boarders, all the fans out there that were writing in and writing some good comments and everything else. We appreciate that. All right, we'll see you next time. Yeah. This is Cosmic Human Design, and we are signing out.